Hey, so as you can see, I hope you can see it on the screen, but the information that you see here comes from a Black news publication called The Voice of Black Cincinnati. So I'm going to have a brief conversation about child trafficking, Black children, and my concerns about sex tourism. Okay? So, 62% of human trafficking suspects are Black Americans or African Americans. 52% of all juvenile prostitution arrests are African American. And 40% of victims of human trafficking are African American. So even here in the U.S., there's a huge problem with human trafficking and child sex trafficking. Think about all these conversations that we have observed on social media where you have a certain demographic of men saying that by the time a woman is somewhere between 25 and 35, they view that she has quote unquote hit the wall. Look at the men who have seen these stories where underage Black girls were sexually abused. And when these men talk about these stories, they try to justify adult men sleeping with underage Black girls. If you look around enough on social media, you'll see them. And they're talking about like 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. Look at the way that they justify what R. Kelly did to all of those women that he violated when they were underage. And you want to tell me that there's not a possibility that for at least some of these men, the reason that they're so hyped about overseas travel, particularly if you look at the parts of the world that they talk about going, in some of those places, there's a huge problem with sex tourism and child sex trafficking. You're not going to tell me that these men that view a 25-year-old woman as hitting the wall wouldn't go overseas to participate in sex tourism? And if they're going overseas to do that, do you really think that if they were in a place where there were no legal consequences, that they would not sleep with an underage girl? When you see the way that they try to gloss over, child sexual abuse, even here in the U.S., think about it, y'all.